Trey,
You.
how you doing, buddy? How's everything?
I'm doing pretty well today, Tyler. Can't really complain. Got a good workout in, man. Overall, pretty well. How about you?
Same, really.
Yeah.
Can't complain. Everything's been pretty good. The week's been pretty good so far. I mean, it's Monday today, but I guess last week
Last week was well.
was pretty good.
How was the weekend?
Weekend was good. Once again went back up.
You went back home.
Kind of like we talked about in the last podcast. Hit a couple of breweries.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. The breweries.
Yeah, with my sisters and I guess they're really just fam at this point. Like their boyfriends.
Yeah. They're significant others.
Yeah, so hit a couple breweries with them. Got to be able to chill out with them, which was pretty cool. Had a couple good laughs, enjoyed my time out there. So that's pretty much it. And then yesterday, really just chilled, took it easy. Ain't doing nothing crazy. Friendly hung out with you and your mother for a little bit in the morning time.
Yeah, got to hang out with moms for a little bit.
And that's it. And then come today, got a good workout in. And now we're here. So
Fair, man. My weekend as well was also decent. Not as busy as yours. Really just filled with, work.
you be working, so.
Yeah.
So,
That's really about it. So working at night, sleeping during the day. Like Tyler said, we helped out my mom yesterday, getting a couple groceries and such. So that was kind of cool to do. So overall, the weekend really wasn't too crazy. I'm looking forward to this week though, hoping that it's a little bit more eventful.
Right, do you have anything planned this week?
No. But just I have a philosophy wherein the longer you stay outside, or just the more shit outside you do.
Happen.
Yeah, I call them just events that just take place, just side quests that just happen in your life.
So
you just gotta go out and do something.
So you going outside this week then?
Yeah, I'm outside every week.
Yeah, that's fair, but I mean, I don't know. I guess you gotta be.
We been
outside
on the
more.
block, nigga, selling
block.
drugs. No, I'm not gonna be that kind of outside.
Nah, I meant just outside longer. I guess.
Oh yeah, just hanging out. At least trying to get the weather
Where you
and
hang
enjoy
out? You
that.
hang out on the block.
No, I'm not on the street corner, on a corner store or nothing. You ain't
Really?
gonna catch me like that.
You ain't flipping
I ain't
pack?
that kind of outside. Flipping the pack.
You ain't flipping packs.
I ain't flipping the pack. I'm not selling peas. I'm not doing none of that. I ain't
Pushing P.
I'm not about that type of life. You're more likely to catch me at the park, at the riverfront, somewhere all the civilized.
A little more sophisticated.
Yeah. Something a little more civilized for just the regular citizens of America out there. The folks, as they say. Not the gangbangers. I don't be hanging out.
I mean, you could be on a block and you don't gotta be a gang banger. You could be a one-man gang.
Who is a one-man gang? That's just a one-man army.
All right, well,
Yeah, no one could do it alone, man. You can't be a
you
one-man.
could. That's why you could be the first.
I'm not gonna
Stand up on the corner pushing P.
I'm not pushing. I can't even get that in the first place. What is P, by the way? Is that Percocets?
I don't know what P is actually.
No, you don't.
Well, I feel like that song. Well, you know the song of pushing
Yeah.
P.
I thought it was pushing Percocets.
Nah,
It's not?
Well, in court their lawyers marketed it as pushing positivity.
I'm pushing P. I'm pushing positivity, man. Gotta go out there and
That's
tell
how you
them
do
all. Be positive.
Yeah, in fact.
I like that though. That's kind of funny. I played off the same way.
Yeah, if I was in court too, I'd be like,
Pushing
yeah.
positivity, man. Pushing P. Pushing positivity.
I don't know, but I know just keep it P, just keep it player. That's how I look at P, keeping it player.
So you don't know the actual meaning behind the
P.
song,
Nah.
what he meant by push P.
Not well, I have a video. I don't know if I have it saved. I would have to go through it on my phone. But it was Gunna explaining pushing P. But he was basically saying the same thing. He was like, it's
It's
just
just positivity.
just keeping it player.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
keeping it player.
Okay.
And then he gave examples. He was like, yeah, all right, this is P. This is pushing P.
Oh, so he gave an example of what he meant by.
Yeah.
Do you actually remember the example or
I
not?
think one of them referred to a house. He was like, you got a big house, or you buying a big house, or you making money.
So you're just
That's
fu-
push-
you're
that's
just,
P, that's
you're
pushing
just
P.
out there doing stuff. Kind of like how we say niggas with action
Probably.
in a
yeah.
way.
I guess, in a way. But every time I hear P, I think player. So keep it P. Just keep it player. You know what I mean?
See, but when I think player, I think a guy who gets a whole bunch of girls. So is that the classification he's using it as?
I guess.
You're a player in that sense of the game?
I don't even consider.
A player that?
When I say keep it player, I don't. I guess I kind of consider it that, but I don't know. My definition is just I consider keeping it P or keeping it player. It's just you don't force nothing. You calm. So even when you talking to a girl, Keep it P. You never try to make it seem like you want her too much or you need her too much or any of that. You cool and you calm. Even in like, if you want to keep it away from females, let's say in a high stress situation, you stay calm, you stay cool, you stay collective, you take care of your business. Keep it P. Just keep it player. Just keep it cool, calm, and collective. I guess if I had to put it in a short sentence.
It's interesting because for that, I just see that as a, and I guess this is kind of where you just classify it differently. I just see that as just confidence. Like you're just like
It could be confidence.
guy.
Well, part of
when
P, you can't be a player without confidence.
That is true.
You can't
that
keep
is
it
true.
P without confidence.
But when I think player, I think like the original, like what we used to call fuckboys. Like the guys who
getting a whole bunch of girls.
guys who just go out trying to pick up girls, pickup artists, for instance. Those guys are players. That's when I think player, and I guess just kind of how like different the classification is.
Yeah, that's true.
This is how when I think player, I think guys who either tries to get a lot of women, approaches a lot of women, fucks a lot of women. Like he plays the game in that sense. I don't really usually think of a player as a person who, I guess, is paying bills and, you know, got a mortgage, maybe got like shit to take care of. Now I can understand where you're coming from though, and that's just your classification for it. And that's perfectly fine. I just never really thought of it that way.
That's fair, and I can understand because I feel like that's the typical.
But yeah, that's the typical player. You know, don't hate the player, hate the game type stuff. That's just what I've always seen over my.
I think it plays.
Life.
I think it plays into it, and a lot of times when I say keep it P, usually it is referring to like women. Mm-hmm. But I guess
it can be used if you want it to.
Yeah.
It just depends on what context you're using.
And I just view it as just like cool and calm. Don't try to rush nothing. Don't try to push nothing. Just keep it P. Keep it player, baby.
Not everyone does that though.
Nah, not everyone can keep it P.
Why do you think that is? Nervousness?
Yeah. I think it's between nervousness. I also think it's just lack of experience, lack of practice.
I also think some people don't think they can. Like they just don't have faith in themselves that they can do it.
I think that's a huge thing. I think fear plays a part into a lot of it. Either people are too scared to actually go out and do it, whether that's because they don't believe in themselves or they are afraid of rejection as well.
That too, yeah.
But I think it's also just when you have that fear, you're not going to put yourself out there. So because you're not going to put yourself out there, you're not going to gain said experience. So you will forever be at basically the base level. It's not until you start putting yourself out there and you start continuing.
You got to get a little bit of dirt on you.
Yeah, you got to get them calluses.
Essentially.
And once you start putting yourself out there and you keep on doing it over and over and over, then
it's like repetition. Kind of like the story I was telling you with I was telling Tyler the story earlier, maybe about like an hour ago, about this kid I knew in high school. He was a year older than us, so I believe when I was a sophomore, he might have been a junior or some shit like that. And one time, like, me and him were hanging out. It was after school. We were hanging out in the cafeteria. And I guess one of the girls who was on track was, like, walking by or something. He was like, hey, watch this. Walked over to her, asked for her number, got her number, this, that, the other. Didn't really even care about getting her number in the first place. He just wanted to show that you just got to have the confidence to do it. Proceeds to get her number, show it to me, just rip it up, throw it away. Didn't even want her. He was just like, listen, man, it's not the fear, you just got to push through. And then the overtime of doing it, because he's done it, I'm assuming countless times.
To where now it's just nothing.
There's nothing to him. It's just second nature. That's just at least what I think.
But you don't get there unless you practice.
Nah.
You don't get there unless you...
You got to get the calluses on yourself.
Yeah, man. You got to put up shots. As the saying goes, shooters going to shoot. So regardless, you got to just...
That is true.
You got to go for it.
I can't disagree with that.
And those are typically the guys who are able to, I guess, keep it peace, stay calm under pressure, and all that other stuff. Why? Because they have been in the battlefield. They've been there before. So it's not like it's a new experience to them.
But one can say there's just not much incentive to do it in the first place these days.
I don't explain.
Well, for instance, our friend Charles has brought this to my attention before as well. There's this thing called hoflation. I believe you know of it.
I've heard.
Essentially, we are working 2 times, 3 times, maybe even 4 times as hard as our grandfathers did for half of the women that our grandmothers were. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to court, do all that other extra shit that the ladies do want, but you're not getting the quality of woman that you might have gotten that your grandfather would have gotten. So it's essentially you're just doing more work for less women, essentially.
I understand where you're coming from. I've heard the hoflation. I guess my rebuttal to that is, first and foremost, we have no choice. This is the life that we're in. I can understand with inflation and all that, the definition, but no matter what, we can't go back to our grandfather's time. We can't go and get those women. Like, it's over. So you got to learn how to adapt to the life that you're living in currently.
2024.
You have to adapt it to, because this is the way of life.
Yeah.
And I understand everyone's like, yo, dating sucks and it's trash. But this is what it is.
You make of it what you will.
You either sink or swim.
Make of it what you will. Yeah.
You got to, you know what I'm saying? And just because we might have to work harder for those type of women, it does not mean those women are not out there. We just might have got to do a little bit more work in terms of searching.
Yeah, a little more research.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, and I've said this on the podcast before, for the men out there who like women, I can only really speak for that.
Yeah, true.
If you ever want to get a woman, regardless of inflation and all that, you have to put yourself out there.
Yeah, you gotta talk.
You have no choice.
You gotta talk.
So whether or not you like the dating game right now or you don't, you really have no choice. It's either you get your ass up and you go talk to her,
Or not. Yeah.
or you're just gonna be dolo forever, or dolo for a significant amount of time, or whatever.
Or and this is very much the minority that will happen, and it won't happen to all men. But the women that do approach you, you really just got to pick from them.
You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
You know what I'm saying?
Because women aren't really going to approach you in the first place.
And who's to say those women who are approaching you are
Are
quality
the
women?
or the women
are
that
the
you
women
want.
you want?
True. Yeah.
On top of that, with keeping everything in mind with the whole inflation definition you gave me, if you want a quality woman, if you're looking for a certain type of woman, you got to be a certain type of man.
Yeah.
And you got to be able to talk and articulate yourself
Intellectual to some extent.
relatively well.
Yeah.
You don't got to be perfect. I mean, look at me, look at you. I mean, I curse a lot. I use a lot of slang. I understand that. But to a certain extent, I
You can
know
still
how to
articulate your
articulate
points.
myself.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I can tell you to practice. I can get better.
So you're getting better each time you try it.
But how you expect to get the woman of your dreams if you can't even articulate yourself? How do you learn to articulate yourself? You talk to people, men and women.
Yeah.
You
Both.
can't just talk to men
Yeah.
and expect to be able to articulate yourself.
You're gonna get a
with
different
women.
interaction.
It's a different interaction. We're different creatures.
Mm-hmm.
You can say certain shit to men that you might not be able to say to a female.
Very true. Very true.
It's different. So even with inflation, if you want yourself a quality woman, you got to go out there and talk to people, men and women. Even if you end up talking to a couple of hoes, you still got to be able to carry yourself and talk to yourself a certain way.
Do you think it's worth it though?
100%.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Why not? I mean, listen, unless you don't want a certain type of woman, unless you're fine just being dolo or maybe just sleeping around, then sure, fine.
Mm-hmm.
Then yeah, I guess it's not worth it. But majority of men, at least a lot of the men I know, I can only speak for them, they all want a girl. Whether they might not have a girl now, they might be focusing on themselves, but I know eventually
Down the line,
they're going to want a
They're
girl.
gonna want someone.
They're going to want someone.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to practice though.
True.
How you expect you have to practice, whether you practice now or you practice when you actually want to get a girl, you're going to have to practice eventually. It's inevitable. So it's
just when you want to put yourself.
When do you want to start?
And frankly, I believe we both would be in agreement that it's probably better to start while you're young.
That's what I'm saying. Now I'm not saying to go and chase and go after every girl, but there's nothing wrong with going up to a female you might find cute and talking to her, just so you can get conversation and practice talking to females out in the open. There's nothing wrong with asking for a number, even if you have no intention. Similar to what your boy did, he knew off rip.
He wasn't going.
I'm not going to call you.
Yeah, I'm not.
He knew off rip.
Yeah. He was just doing it.
But he was just doing it. Why? One, probably, maybe just to prove a point.
Yeah.
But two, it also could have been, and he probably was a little more advanced, but it could have just been practice.
One, I think it was practice. Two, I think he was also just showing
Just
off.
trying to prove a point. Just be like, yo, look how easy this shit is. Yo, shorty.
Yeah, literally.
Because he knew off, if he shows you the number and immediately rips it up,
Yeah.
you knew he was thinking before, I don't really want her number.
He
I'm
probably
just
didn't care. Yeah.
I'm just doing this to prove a point.
He is just doing the proof point.
But it's better to practice now than when, let's say, you're in your 30s and now you're trying to get somebody, or whenever you decide to get your girl, to start practicing then.
And frankly, what I would even say too is the fact that he did that. One can say it takes less pressure off because, like, if you were to do it that way, the way where he did, he just didn't even care. I feel more men would approach because there's less pressure of, okay, what am I going to say when I do get the number now?
Yep.
You know?
Because you truly don't care.
Yeah, I got the number. I can throw it away. I care not of what happens after the interaction because I already got what I wanted.
Exactly.
You know?
I'm just trying to prove a point.
Right, you're just trying to practice.
But even with inflation and everything, and I can understand where people are coming from, but I believe regardless, as young men, you still got to try. Also, shoot, this will be awkward if I lose my train of thought. I can understand the whole like effort thing because you were like, we are now expelling more effort than we had to before. But I still think, you know what? Maybe you can explain this. What do you mean by effort? Do you mean like whining and dining and taking these females out like that, or just effort in terms of the amount of females you have to now talk to?
More just whining and dining. Not just the amount of females you have to talk to. Frankly, you can just talk to one. You don't really need it. There's no rule in the dating book that says you got to be talking to 5 people at once. There's just one person at a time. I'm more talking along the lines of, and also just inflation and just how life has gone has something to do with this as well. But more along the lines of our grandfathers really, all they really needed to spend, majority of them at least, was just time. Like, I set up a date with you for this day. We both show up at the park. I bring a couple sandwiches. You bring a couple drinks. We just meet up there and have a good time. We go out someplace, and it's really, I'm spending my time. Not a lot of women, but a decent amount of women, it's, well, how much money are you willing to spend on me now to prove that you like me type shit.
Okay.
So we're giving more, and one could say we're getting less because, okay, yes, we get pussy, but there's no guarantee that you'll get that.
Don't you think some of that is our fault, though? And what I mean by that is like...
Yeah, I'm curious. How so?
I feel like us men, or a lot of men, I think especially like if you don't have a lot of, I guess, experience, I feel like we're more likely, like we're pretty quick to take a girl out to like wine her, dine her, and do all that. I feel like a lot of men aren't thinking like, oh, okay, I'm going to take her to the park, or I'm going to try to take her on like a cheaper date. Now, don't get me wrong, because I've seen men who have taken women on a cheap date, and they're like, what is this? Why are we here? Fair enough. And there are a lot of women out there like that. But I also think, too, to put some of the blame on us, I feel like we're pretty quick to try to take her out and impress her. I feel like also a lot of men try to impress people by what they can offer, what they can provide.
True.
And that's typically it's money. What can I buy you? What can I get you? Where can I take you? Mm-hmm. So because we're trying to impress with money and all that other stuff, I think we're also pretty quick to be like, yo, I'm going to take her out here. I'm going to take her out here. Instead of thinking, hey, I'm going to take her on a walk outside through Elizabeth Park.
I can understand where you're coming from. I can't say that particular point would be wrong. I guess the only thing I would say to go against that is I don't believe the majority of men have the kind of money to where they're doing that in the first place. I believe if that were to be the case, it'd be a minority of men being blamed for the majority of what's kind of happening. Because I don't think the majority of guys could take a girl out and bring her on a really nice 5-star restaurant.
No, but I think the majority of guys are still taking her out to where they have to spend X amount of money, even if you don't really got it like that or not. You're still choosing to.
Well, I can
take her. You're still choosing to spend money.
I can see where you're coming from there because as that girl dates, she kind of gets used to maybe a lifestyle that particular men can provide.
Right, you can't take her exactly.
Then if you can't provide that same thing, she's gonna want to at least find someone who can provide that. So you're probably not gonna get picked.
If in the first 2 dates you take her out to fucking Nobu or an expensive ass restaurant, and you carry yourself like that, which is it's good to carry yourself a certain way, but if you're first couple of dates you're taking her out to expensive places, she gonna have a certain perception of you. She's gonna think, okay, you have money like that you're taking me out.
Yeah. So if you lead first with money, then chances are you'll attract a lot of gold diggers.
Exactly. Or she's going to expect that throughout. So once you finally take her to McDonald's, she might feel some type of way.
I can understand.
Compared to if you just took her to McDonald's off rip, then she'll kind of be like, oh, okay, this is the type of... And then if you surprise her taking her out somewhere nice, then it's a little different.
Maybe, but that also backfire on you when you take her out to McDonald's off rip. She think you're a broke boy, and she's just like, I ain't even going.
I don't think that's backfiring.
For some men, well, yeah, I can see where you're coming from there. That's
why Ocho Cinco.
Yeah, you're trying to like You're dodging the ones that aren't good.
Ocho
for you.
Cinco's rich, and he takes all. Well, now he got an actual like long term girl, but when he was dating, he'd take all his girls. He was still in the NFL. He's in the NFL making millions. He'd take all his girls on first dates at McDonald's just to see how they are.
Well, I guess my point was depending on who the man is, you might not be able to you might not have the amount of girls where you can just lose one and then easily replace her the week after.
Yeah, that's true. But
some guys it's like, well, this is the only girl I've been rocking with for a little bit.
But how about? I agree with you. You're not wrong because a lot of men out there are swimming in
You
options.
just don't got the abundance like that.
But even if you don't have options, wouldn't you rather spend your time alone or with people that genuinely gonna mess with you, compared to a female who you know is only gonna mess with you with money?
I mean, Tyler, I don't disagree with that. I would. But it's the same logic as why would a woman who's with an abusive man stay with him? Sometimes people just can't handle being alone. Now, I don't think it's right. I don't think you should be with someone who don't like you and don't care about you. But
Yeah.
there are people out there who can't handle being alone, men and women alike. Well, there are guys who'll just dish out money just to be with a girl. It don't matter. It's just like, listen, I'll pay you just to be here. You know pay pigs? You know what that is?
I think we talked about this.
Yeah, we've talked about it on like some past podcasts.
But at the
it's literally guys paying girls just to shit on
at
them.
this point,
Not
this
literally,
kind of goes
but
back
just
to like
figuratively.
it's our fault to a certain extent.
I think
Also,
some of it is our
how
fault, but
can't you-
I'm still going to put some of the blame on the ladies.
Yeah. I'm not going to say it's all our fault. I do believe the blame goes to the females as well. I think it's both of our faults. At the same time, though, like what you're saying, it's like men are complaining that we have to work harder, but also look what you're leading with. Look what you're doing.
I don't think we're complaining. I think we made the observation that we need to do harder. I don't think men complain.
I think it's both.
I don't think men really be complaining about the dating thing. I think we make comments about it. Complaining though, it's just not. We're not complainers.
Nah,
we don't
I think-
really be complaining, man.
I think we complain.
Yeah. Online, you be seeing niggas complain,
Bro, I be seeing
bitching and moaning that they can't get girls.
not that they can't get girls, but they're upset about the dating market and that they feel like they shouldn't have to pay X amount of dollars to go out with a girl. That's still complaining. That's not really a comment. If I make a video saying, "Hey, it's crazy how whoflation is like this. Because of that, I got to do this. I got to do this." You're fucking complaining. You're not. That's not a comment.
You don't think that's you commenting on the current dating market?
No,
That's
based
not-
off
that's
of their
not-
tone of voice and how, bro, like that whole. Remember the whole soft guy era?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah,
Yeah, those are.
That's actually not. That's still going on. Actually.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. They're dude. Yeah, I guess you could say some of them are commenting, but some of it's also like it's a form of complaining. You're complaining.
That's
You're
fair.
coming on here.
That's fair.
And you're making a video of yourself, somewhat aggressive or somewhat upset because of the dating market. Because of that, you're complaining about what's going on. You're not pleased.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, like it is what it is. I mean, that's what the internet's for. Everyone complains, but like to me, that's a form of complaining. If I'm coming on here and I'm venting about this is bad and this is bad and this is bad, you're complaining. That's exactly, you're fucking complaining.
I mean, what else could they do though?
Yeah,
And even the women who complain, what else could you do? You can't do much else.
Nah, but also complaining don't fix your problem. Go figure something out. Listen, it's unfortunate, don't get me wrong, but is complaining gonna fix your problem? No. Whatever problem it is, outside of the dating market, and maybe you could attest to this. Have you ever had a problem? I'm not talking about females. I'm just talking
In
about
general.
a problem.
Yeah, in general.
And complained about it. And because you complained, the problem got fixed?
No, not that I can remember.
Never.
No, not that.
Ever. So complaining doesn't help.
Unless it has something to do with
You
customer
have
service.
to go exactly. Unless I'm calling the customer service complaining about, hey, my bag is broken that I ordered, and then they fix it. But even that, it's a form of taking action. Action is what's gonna fix your problem.
That is a form of dating.
Complaining isn't going
That's
to.
still a form of taking action.
Yeah, because you would have to call customer service compared to if you just complained to me about the bag being broken.
And one can even make the argument that even calling customer service is not really you complaining. It's you.
I'm taking action. I'm telling you what happened.
You like telling.
Is that I paid for a product.
You're telling them what it is.
You guys did something incorrect. So I'm calling you guys so you can fix
Said
the problem. Whether you're going to give me a refund or you're going to give me a new product, new bag, new whatever I bought. That's still taking action.
Would you put the majority of the blame on men or the majority of the blame on women? Or do you think it's just equally both?
Damn.
I'll give you an extra one. Do you also just want to blame society? So you can either blame majority men, majority women, or just put it on society. It's society's fault. And the reason I'd say society is just to kind of give you extra, kind of like how us boys are raised. A lot of us grew up on Disney. We watched that, and a lot of the films were very much fake in regards to how it portrayed love. We thought love was unconditional. Now a lot of us are growing up and realizing that love is, especially as a man, it's not unconditional.
It's conditional.
It's you have to provide something to be loved by.
Yeah.
You know. So would you say society and even with the ladies, the whole princesses thing and how they're supposed to be treated? A lot of girls grew up seeing, well, I'm supposed to be treated like a princess, this, that, the other, where you have to act a certain way to get that kind of treatment in the first place. You know, that wasn't shown, so there's kind of that missing aspect of things. So would you say it's society's fault? Both men and women are see past each other. We believe it's one way, they believe it's another way. Do you think it's just all women? Do you think it's all men?
I guess if I had the answer, I'll probably say society. Based off like the stories that are portrayed, based off what is pushed. I also think in society there are times where like we're kind of pinned against each other. Men and women are pinned against each other.
Yeah.
So instead of like, oh, you guys are supposed to be, we're all humans, we're supposed to be one, especially once you get married, we're supposed to become one unity and one together. I think now it's like females over here, men over here. And they kind of keep that split in a way. And I think that's why there's also a lot of butting heads now between like men and women, how men get kind of upset about the whole feminist movement and the whole toxic masculinity, them being able to, the fact that masculinity has now managed to become toxic, any type of masculinity has now managed to be viewed as toxic masculinity. I don't think that's great at all. I think now we've kind of become bitter to each other. Like, for instance, I think about the whole soft guy era. So, because, and I can understand, you know what I'm saying? But I still think it's a little bit of bitterness. Just like,
I actually think it's a parody. I don't think the guys who are doing that are being serious. They're just doing that to show the ridiculousness of the boss girl era that we just came.
yeah,
from.
that's
It's like this. It's essentially the same shit that the ladies were saying. Just the guys are saying it.
yeah.
Now they're just saying, you see how ridiculous we sound ridiculous, right? Because we're saying, well, yeah, you got to pay all my bills, you got to cook, you got to do all that stuff. We sound crazy for saying that. Well, that's how you look. That's essentially what the guys are getting at that are doing the whole soft guy era. My hypothesis is that they don't actually believe it. Now, they can speak for themselves. This is just my guess. I think it's more of a parody than, you know, them actually believing it. But there could be guys that do believe it.
I also think that's just like petty as well.
Yeah. But I mean, I think there's a little bit of pettiness in all of us, especially if you feel like you've been done wrong. I feel like a lot of men feel like they've been done wrong.
Yeah, that's true, but I don't think pettiness fixes it. And I guess that's kind of where
I don't think anybody could fix what we're currently in.
No, but I guess that's kind of where I was going at in terms of like, it's just like petty. I guess there's no need for, like, there was no need for that. I can understand why, and it could be a parody, and all the guys are just doing it just to make it so, and see how ridiculous we look and all that other stuff. But like, let's be honest, is it needed?
It might not be needed, but I do think there's a reason for it.
Well, there's a reason for everything.
I wouldn't say it was needed. Yeah, I guess not. But I mean, I do think
I kind of just view it as
it serves its point to show that, you know, it is ridiculous for us to be even asking for these things. So why are you?
I just think it's like, yo, just being petty.
Or just trying to prove a point. You know.
Yeah, that's fair, but I guess you're trying to prove a point that like ain't finna be fixed.
Yeah, no.
Like, what are you trying to like? What are you,
the
like,
TikTok
you know,
videos aren't going to change it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess that's where I'm coming at. Like, typically, if I'm trying to prove a point, what I'm doing is going to have an actual outcome that kind of is going to affect what happens. Those videos aren't really like, yeah, I guess you could prove a point, but what's happening?
They could change minds. I'm not saying I don't personally believe that any one person has the power to change that what we're currently going through. You know, I don't believe any one YouTube channel can do it. I don't believe any one politician can do it. I don't believe any one human being can do it. But what I will say, I just think that maybe by them making those videos, the message might be reached by some women and some men, and both sides could somewhat realize that, yeah, some of the things that we're asking for is ridiculous.
Whose fault do you think it is?
I think it's women's fault.
Why is that?
I put it on them because if you really want to change the society, you go to the women first. That's how you poison and corrupt a country. You go to the women, and then the women go to the men. Because though men control society, women do kind of control men to some extent because we like them. We want to protect them. They are also the ones who foster the next generation. So without the ladies, you really get no further. So I believe feminism had a very good first start. You know, when it first started, I believe women do deserve the rights that they did receive when original feminism kind of became a thing. But I believe it became co-opted. It became co-opted by people who, in their eyes, wanted to see the downfall of the family unit. And women just kind of went with it, you know? And I believe some of it has to be put on them because if they had pushed back against it, it wouldn't have gone as far as it did. Us men, there's no really pushing back against feminism because we're not women. So we push back against feminism. It's going to be automatic. Well, yeah, of course you're going to do it because you're a man.
Because you're a man.
You know? So it can't be on us. It has to be on the girls, on the women.
You don't think it's on society? Because based off the very first thing you said,
I don't think it's on society just because society been doing it the right way before us. Society isn't just when we were born. Society was before us.
But society changed.
Women changed. And society changed with it.
You don't think society changed women?
That's a good question, Tyler. One that I don't think I really thought about.
And that's why I said, because if you notice, the very first thing you said when I asked you this question was along the lines of, obviously, I don't know verbatim, I forgot. But it was along the lines of
what we were raised on, like what we saw coming up, the Disney movies, princess movies.
First you changed the women, and then the women changed the men.
Yeah.
Well, how do you change the women? Or who changed the women?
The society.
That's why I would think
the
it's society's fault. Now, I'm going to keep it a buck. I do think it's everyone's fault.
I think it is everyone's fault. Yeah. It could be split all three ways.
It could be split all three ways.
Yeah, it could be split all three ways. Yeah.
But that's why I said society, because society, which happens amongst...
I can see where you're coming from there. Yeah, I could see where you're coming from there. I guess the reason I go to the ladies is because I don't think a lot of this goes any further without them.
I mean, that's fair.
You don't get to what we have now in society without the ladies. You just can't. You can't have hookup culture without women agreeing to be hooked up with.
That is true.
If the ladies were like, hell no, I'm waiting until I get married.
Then that would be the way to
That's the way it would go. And niggas would not, unless guys were out there like actually assaulting women, which I don't believe that's the majority, we would have genuinely no choice but to put a ring on it. Because how else are you going to get some ass? Yeah. You can't do it any other way. So that's why I believe at least a majority got to be put on them. Okay, yes, you can put it on us too. And I don't disagree. Us as men, we are not as masculine as we once were. We're not the leaders that we once need to be to make the women feel comfortable enough to give themselves truly to you. I understand that. And as a woman, it would be tough to survive in this society. But I do believe if you don't want to lay down with a man and you say no, and he's a genuine, upstanding citizen who isn't going to do anything illegal,
then
we're going to leave you alone.
Yeah.
Nothing else is going to happen.
Yeah.
No more hookup culture. But what? You're strong. You're independent. You can do what men can do. And because of that, which you know what? I do believe a decent amount of that does have to do with society. We have what we have now. Maybe I'm also biased because I'm a man, but I just think if...
I mean, shit, I'm also biased. I mean, we're both men, so obviously we're going to...
It's just... If ladies were genuinely like, yo, listen, man, we going to date for however long, we're not going to have sex. I don't care. And whatever guy came into her life and just left, and every woman did that, he would have no choice. That same man that kept going from woman to woman trying to find one who would sleep with him would have no choice but to be like, well, I gotta get on the wave now, or else I'm not gonna get no ass. If every woman united just said, yeah, we're waiting until marriage, society would go back to that. We'd have no choice.
We'd have no choice.
But that's not the case, and that's why I put it on them.
You know, that's fair. That's fair. You make some really good arguments. kind of hard to rebuttal some of them. So I'm gonna be honest. That's fair.
But I
That
can
makes a lot of
understand the
sense.
argument that you made for society, though, because I do believe society definitely has a major role to play in what we are kind of get into. And as men, I think we are as equally responsible because we are not being the leaders that we need to be. We're not holding ourselves accountable. I think as men too, we can. I know a lot of us aren't going to do this, but whenever you see a friend that's like acting the fool or doing what he's not supposed to be doing, I think it's on us to kind of like, yo, bro, act appropriate.
Or hold himself.
Yeah,
hold
yeah,
him
yeah.
check.
You kind of like hold your male friends accountable in that sense, just like the ladies. If you have a girlfriend that's hoeing around, you tell shorty, listen, babe, respect yourself. Stop doing the same thing.
Yeah, but that don't happen.
No, it's not gonna happen. And that's what I'm saying. Even with the guys, that's not gonna happen either.
That also just determines. What plays a role with that is just the type of people you hanging with.
True. Yeah, true.
So it's like, who are you hanging around? Because if you're hanging, because 9 out of 10, if someone else is acting a fool, 9 out of 10, you're also on that same type of time where you're also kind of acting a fool.
That is true. Chances are, yeah.
Because typically you're like kind of like the 5 closest people you are.
That's just
Show me your 5 friends, and I can tell exactly who you are as
the
a
type of
person.
person that you are. Yeah. I see where you're coming from.
So it's like now that just depends on the type of people you're hanging with and the type of people you're.
But one could still say though, could you even call those people friends if you can't talk to them openly? Because I feel like with me and you, we can come to each other with something and respectfully get your point across, and no feelings will be hurt. Like, all right, nigga, I understand where you're coming from. I feel like other people, they're just like us. They should be able to do the same.
But what you think is someone acting up, someone else might not think is acting up. So what I mean by that is like
True.
our friend group, one of us is doing something stupid. Be like, yo, chill, stop, don't do that. Another friend group, someone's doing something stupid. The other people in that friend group
Might think
think
it's perfectly
what
fine.
he's doing is perfectly fine.
True.
So it's like,
Yeah, that's fair.
so it's kind of hard to say what you find to be acting up, someone else might find to be as normal. Like, this is just a regular Friday for me.
Well, that is we'll and I guess where we'll pull it back to the classification of just in regards to like dating. So, I believe there are specific classifications, like
Yeah, explain if you can.
I believe there are just specific things that we all do as a society together that we kind of have like rules for dating in that sense, like just being monogamous, not cheating, not hoeing around, sleeping around with a whole bunch of people, all that type of stuff. Now I know there are people who do it. I still think they're in the minority. I know this whole hookup culture is like quite a large thing, but I don't think everybody's doing that. I also don't think everyone from our generation is doing that just because it is true that we're the generation that has the least amount of sex, and are in the least amount of relationships. So if that's the case, then our generation really can't be doing the whole hookup thing to that major an extent. At least that's my thought process.
I can see where you're coming from. And what you're saying isn't wrong, because we definitely do have, there's statistics that show that we have like the least amount of sex. But also, it's what's accepted, it's what's tolerated. Even if we were having sex as much as, like, let's say the other generations or whatever, it's still what's tolerated. It's still what's kind of expected. It's what's normal now. Before, like, sleeping around and doing all that was, like, looked down upon.
I think because, in my hypothesis, is we've gone away from religion.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I think that's why.
But it's acceptable. So because it's acceptable on a mass scale, it's kind of like, how are you gonna reprimand your friend, I guess, about something that's acceptable and accepted on a mass scale? Now, definitely you can. It depends on the type of morals and the stuff you live by. So I think that's a little bit more individualized. But, like, can you really go up to your friend and be like, listen, bro, you need to stop sleeping around doing all this other stuff, even though it's accepted on a grand scale? It's acceptable on a grand scale because that's what everyone else is doing. Now, your morals personally might be like, that's not how I get down. I don't believe in that. I believe you're supposed to be with one woman, you're supposed to get married or this. Or even if you don't want to get married, don't believe in that, you just believe I shouldn't be having sex with all of these women. But because you believe it don't mean that Holmes is going to have that same moral because he might believe what's socially accepted.
I understand where you're coming from. And at that point, it really is on that person to kind of, I guess, make that choice for themselves whether or not they want to put their morals onto someone else. And you are correct. We don't all have the same morals. Some of us go by societal morals, and others have our own personal ones. I'll say this, and I guess it really is on a person-by-person thing. If me or you are close enough, and I believe the path that you were choosing to go down isn't a good one, I'm at least going to say something to you.
That's fair.
Because if you are my friend, I care about you to some extent. I care about you more than I care about a stranger. So, like,
That's fair.
I want you to see you do well.
Yeah.
And even if it was one of my guy friends who were constantly sleeping around with women, don't get me wrong, I'd be impressed. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm a guy. I'm like, all right, shit, nigga, cool. You're getting a whole bunch of girls. That's always the dream for us. But there can be just negative connotations with that. So I would tell them, this is what I would do. I would just tell them my thought process. Kind of like how I have with Quinn and Osar with the whole living with women thing. Me personally, I don't think it's good to live with a woman that you're not going to marry. But some of our friends have done it. Now, I've let them know, and I'm like, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't understand why you're doing what you're doing. Like, I don't. And I think it's wrong. I think it's wrong what you're doing. However, I respect you enough as a man to hear your point
of view and see where you're
exactly. So I think it can be done. You just don't do it disrespectfully. And also just don't go in trying to change their mind. Just say what you got to say. That's just how I've handled it in the past. Whenever I might have a disagreement with a friend or such, and we just have different morals. Everyone's different. So I understand, yeah, you have different morals, but
I guess you just got to be prepared that
they're not going to listen to you.
Exactly.
And that's fine. At least you just said your piece, said what you said, you know? If shit ever hits the fan for them, you get to say, I told you so. You know? If you want to go down that road, you can do that. But
I also think you just got to find friends and people who are willing to speak up and say something. And I think that's one thing. And also, depending on your friend group and the people you have around, everyone obviously have different morals, but on certain things that might not be too great, they might have the same outlook as you.
That is true. Yeah.
So they might think what you're doing, even though it might be destructive, they also deem it as, oh, this is acceptable.
Yeah.
Because I believe it. And
yeah. It's kind of like people who do like very hard drugs. They tend to hang out with other people who do hard drugs. And the chances of anybody in that room telling you, hey, man, I think you should stop smoking crack, it's just not.
Because they're doing the same thing.
They're doing it too. They're like, yo, spike me up when you're done.
Yeah.
That's.
It's also kind of hypocritical to be like,
yeah,
don't do that. Don't do that while I'm about to do it. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
The only way I think you could get away with that is if you're talking to like a child. Then fine, you might be a little bit more hypocritical because, they might be too young. And they might get hurt or something.
And one could say you're trying to prevent them
from going down that line. So, I think that's a little different when it's like parent-child situation. But when it's like
it's peers, like me and you.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you were like, bro, don't listen to that song. But you're playing that song. I'd be like, yo, what like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that definitely plays a role. But this is the world we live in, man.
We don't got much of a choice, like you said, Tyler. Like you said earlier, kind of to finish up, man. We don't have much of a choice. You don't gotta like it, but you gotta accept it.
You don't gotta like it, but you gotta accept it.
You don't have to like it, but you do have to accept it. And for men and women alike, you might not like how dating is right now. And at least if you're young, you can play the waiting game. At least you're a young man. I'm gonna say that. If you're a young man, you can play the waiting game. You're in your early 20s, teens. Okay, cool. You really just work on yourself and try to make something of yourself. Make yourself some kind of a name to where people know who you are.
I think that's the only way you could play the waiting game. I think as a man, you can't play the waiting game and not improve.
Yeah. You can't play the waiting game and just like sit at home playing like
video games and
FIFA, Madden.
Like if you're still
not going to school, not trying to get a trade, not trying to get a job or nothing.
Yeah. Like if you're still doing the same thing at 20. If you're still doing the same, if you're 30 years old and you're still doing the same thing that you were doing when you were 20 years old, that's a problem.
You can't.
Like at that point, you can't really play the. I think you can only play the way, kind of literally what you were explaining.
You need to be doing things.
You need to be
improving yourself.
I think that's the only way you can play the waiting game.
Improving yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to chase girls now, but I would still highly suggest that
Talk
you
to them.
approach women, talk
to
to women, you interact with women. That for the ladies is gonna be a little bit tougher. Now, for them, I would definitely suggest trying to find if you're in our generation, if I was a lady, what I would be trying to do is finding an older man, a man who is more established, kind of got his shit together. If not that, finding a man who is my counterpart, same age as me, in the same age group, i.e. in college or something. A guy who's at least going somewhere, because it's quite hard to find a good man these days. And I've been getting to notice the amount of actual good men, and I'm talking about guys who are willing to show up to work each day, generous, and will actually take care of their families and all that type of stuff. And it's sad, but the majority of them really don't exist anymore just because that's not what's popular. That's not what's cool.
Yeah.
It's better to be an asshole. It's better to be a fuckboy, as they say, because that's what gets the girls these days. You know, that's what the young ladies find interesting. So that's what the majority of men are going for. And, you know, I can't really fault them for it because you kind of, it's like you fish where the fish are at. And if the ladies want guys who just treat them like shit, then men are going to adapt. And
because they want ladies.
Because they want ladies, they're going to become guys who treat ladies like shit.
Yeah.
That's just, well,
that's what it is.
That's what they're responding to. That's what you're going to do. So if you want a good man, it's going to be definitely hard to find. But I would definitely suggest not giving up and continuing to push and continuing to try to find one. For the guys, finding a girl, I think what Tyler and me said is important. You need to continuously go out there and just like talk to women. I'm not saying you got to go up there and try to get a girlfriend. I'm not saying you got to go out there and try to go fuck something. I don't think that's smart for us to be doing right now. But we're all our own men, so we kind of get to do our own thing. I just personally believe that we should, right now at least, be focused on improving ourselves.
Yeah.
Being the best possible men that we can be for ourselves first and foremost. And then when we kind of got our shit together, you might have a couple finances set, you know, you got your career kind of going, you yourself are stable. Then you can bring in a woman into your life that you might want.
Yeah. I would just say just be smart about it. Everyone's a little different. Everyone's finances are a little different. Everybody's position is a little different.
Yeah, we're all in different places.
Some people are able to handle it, you know. Because I know plenty of guys my age who, I guess our age, who will have a girl, and they're still on top of their shit.
I know guys who are our age and married.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
But I also know guys our age who had a girl, got too wrapped up in her, and then they kind of messed them up.
And I know guys our age who don't have a girl and still don't got their shit together.
Yeah, exactly.
So whether you do have one, don't have one, like, it's important just to have your shit together.
Yeah, yeah. And I think in terms of getting a girl, it's really what you got to know yourself.
They don't stick around if you don't have your shit together.
Realize what you can handle, realize what you can't handle, and even once you get a girl, regardless of if you have your shit together or not, you got to like make sure you stay on top of it.
And she loves you conditionally. Don't forget that. Yeah. Conditionally, you provide something.
It's a cold world.
You provide something. You don't got to like it. But you gotta accept it.
So come on,
they gonna tell you. The ladies are gonna tell you that no, we love you regardless. No, they don't. She likes you because you either got money, you're good looking, you'll bear her good children, or all that bullshit. Condition. If you lose all that shit, she gone. Now, if you get that through your head, you'll make peace with it because she still love you. She just loves you under the condition.
Thanks.
And you make peace with that. You realize that's just what it is. You'll have an easier life.
What it is, man. It's a come or become done world out there, man.
You got no choice, man.
All right, so I'm gonna be in around this time. We typically
I ain't giving no advice.
I was just about to say you just gave.
I just gave advice. Y'all wasn't listening to that. I'm sorry. That's on you. But yeah, hope you like the show though.
Trey said that so fast.
Yeah,
I just went on a fucking 12-minute monologue. All right, well, I'm gonna give a little advice because that was Trey's kind of went on a rant. My advice, honestly, just keep it P, man. That's it, man.
And that's not sell Perkies.
Nah. Pushing positivity.
Pushing positivity. Pushing positivity.
Nah, but seriously, man. Like, I mean, just keep it P. And what I mean by keep it P is just continue to stay cool, stay calm, stay collective. When it comes to females, don't try to rush nothing. Don't try to push. Don't be too pushy. Don't look like you're needy. Don't be too fucking eager. Just be cool and calm. Whenever you in a high stress situation, you know, you got to get something finished. You got to take care of something that's a little bit more urgent. Just stay calm with it. You know, there's no need to get too high. There's no need to get too low. Just stay nice, even peel, and take care of whatever you got to take care of. Handle business like you're supposed to. You know, keep it P. So that'll be my advice. Once again, thank y'all for listening. We appreciate you guys continue to tune in and show us support for real.
For real.
You can find us on Instagram. That's going to be NOA_podcast. Episodes are available on YouTube, Spotify, and on Apple Podcasts. Just type in NOA Podcast. We're the first thing that pops up. Please make sure you subscribe and show us some love. And thank you guys for listening. We appreciate y'all. Y'all take care.
Have a good one.